Indian economy. Prelims 2023. Prelims Compass 2023. Algorithmic trading. SEBI has proposed to create a regulatory framework for algorithmic trading, meaning algorithmic trading or algo trading is a method of executing a large order using pre-programmed instructions. These instructions could be based variables such as time, price, and volume. For example, a user wants to sell a share. If its price falls below 10 rupees, the user can then issue instructions to sell the share if its prices fall below rupees 10. The user need not keep on monitoring prices of share. As soon as the market falls to below 10 rupees, the shares are automatically sold without any manual intervention. Okay. Present status: almost 50% of daily trading volume is executed through algo trading. Currently, exchanges are providing approval for the algo submitted by the broker. However, for the algos deployed by retail investors using application programming interfaces (APIs), neither exchanges nor brokers can identify if the particular trade emanating from API link is an algo or a non-algo trade. Such unregulated and unapproved algos pose a risk to the market and can be misused for systematic manipulation. SEBI's proposal: all the algo trades carried out through APIs need to be approved by the stock exchanges. Algorithmic trading. SEBI has proposed to create a regulatory framework for algo trading. Algorithmic trading or algo trading is a method of executing a large order using pre-programmed instructions. These instructions could be based variables such as time, price, and volume. For example, a user wants to sell a share. If its price falls below 10 rupees, the user can then issue instructions to sell the share if its prices fall below 10 rupees. The user need not keep on monitoring prices of share. As soon as the market falls to below 10 rupees, the shares are automatically sold without any manual intervention. Present status: almost 50% of daily trading volume is executed through algo trading. Currently, exchanges are providing approval for the algo submitted by the broker. However, for the algos deployed by retail investors using application program interfaces (APIs), neither exchanges nor brokers can identify if the particular trade emanating from API link is an algo or non-algo trade. Such unregulated and unapproved algos pose a risk to the market and can be misused for systematic manipulation. SEBI's proposal: all the algo trades carried out through APIs need to be approved by the stock exchange. API means application programming interfaces. Basics of budget. Under Article 112, the government is required to present annual financial statement AFS annual financial statement under Article 112 before both the houses of the Parliament. Contains appropriation bill and finance bill. Appropriation bill expenditure side and finance bill receipts presented in terms of A. Consolidated Fund of India, B. Contingency Fund of India, and C. Public Account of India. The Indian Constitution mandate that annual financial statement should distinguish the expenditure on revenue account from the expenditure on other accounts. Interim budget which is announced in an election year by the incumbent government and hence applicable for a part of financial year until the new government takes over. No provision in the constitution that prohibits the government from announcing new schemes or making amendments to the taxation in the interim budget. However, as per the established parliamentary convention, generally the incumbent government does not announce new schemes and programs. Similarly, on the revenue side of the budget, no tax proposals are made. Thus, normally the interim budget does not contain finance bill and economic survey. Normally, the interim budget does not contain finance bill and economic survey. Interim budget versus vote on account. The interim budget is an estimate of both receipts and expenditure of the government. Through the vote on account, the incumbent government seek approval from the parliament for withdrawing money to meet its expenditure needs until the new government takes over. Note: interim budget for the financial year 29 to 20 has introduced a vote on account wherein the government has sought approval for the expenditure which is likely to be incurred during April to July 2019. Tax proposals in budget 2023 to 2024. Angel tax on foreign capital in startup. Budget 23 to 24 has introduced angel tax for capital raised from foreign investors investing in startups. Earlier, this tax was only applicable on capital raised from domestic investors. Reasons for introducing angel tax for foreign capital: parity between domestic and foreign investors, prevent money laundering. Angel tax. Under the angel tax regime, whenever a startup sells its share over and above the fair market price of value of shares, the startup will have to submit 30.9% of excess over and above the fair market value as angel tax to government. Angel tax was first introduced in 2012 in the Income Tax Act, example of direct tax. The tax is on the capital raised by a startup. Dollar index and rupee devaluation. US dollar index is a measure of the value of US dollar relative to a basket of 6 foreign currencies. These 6 currencies are Euro, Swiss franc, Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, British pound, Swedish krona. The weights of the currencies which constitute dollar index remains constant. It is not trade weighted as in near or rear, NEER or REER. Weights of ICE futures, US dollar index: Euro 57.6%, Japanese yen 13.6%, British pound 11.9%, Canadian dollar 9.1%, Swedish krona 4.2%, Swiss franc 3.6%. Rupee devaluation or revaluation. Under devaluation, central bank intervenes in forex market and buys dollars. This leads to artificial shortage of dollars, leading to increase in value of dollar and decrease in value of rupee. mainly done to boost exports. Under revaluation, central bank intervenes in forex market and sells dollars. This leads to increase in supply of dollars, leading to decrease in value of dollar and increase in value of rupee, mainly done to check large scale depreciation in value of rupee. District as Export Hub Initiative. Department of Commerce through the Director General of Foreign Trade is engaging with state or union territory government to take forward district as export hub initiative to convert each district into an export hub. Objectives of district as export hub initiative: enable MSMEs, farmers and small industries to get benefit of export opportunities in overseas markets. Shift focus on district-led export growth for self-sufficiency and self-reliance. Attract investment in district to boost in manufacturing and exports. Provide ecosystem for innovative or use of technology at a district level to make them export competitive. Reduce transaction cost for exporter at various stages of export cycle. Handholding and assistance to exporters by doorstep delivery of timely and relevant information. Generate employment in district, providing platforms for wide and global reach of products and services from district through e-commerce and digital marketing. Farmers, handicrafts, handlooms, tourism and other cottage industries. Institutional mechanism. An institutional mechanism is being set up in each district in the form of district export promotion committees, DEPCs, with collector, DM or DC or district development officer or CDO as chairperson and designated DFT representative as co-chairperson. General Manager of District Industries Center (DIC) is the convener of DEPCs with representative from the other important government departments. Functions of DEPCs: prepare and act on district specific export action plan to develop as an export hub. Assessment of a direct to identify the current export profile, identifying products and promoting potential products for exports. Entry of all district level data into a portal being developed by DGFT. Acts as a grievance redressal forum for exporters and follow up with concerned central and state agency. Facilitate in organizing buyer seller meets, exhibitions, trade fairs, etc. in the district to encourage industries to showcase their products to the world. Implementing district export action plan in a phased manner to ensure the district achieves the targeted export growth. Flipping. Many Indian companies, particularly startups, have been getting headquartered overseas, especially in designations with favorable legal environments and taxation policies. The technical jargon for this may be identified as flipping, which is the process of transferring the entire ownership of an Indian company to an overseas entity, accompanied by a transfer of all IP and all data hitherto owned by the Indian company. It effectively transforms an Indian company into a 100% subsidiary of foreign entity, with the founders and investors retaining the same ownership via the foreign entity having swapped all shares. Moratorium on custom duties on e-commerce. The 12th ministerial meet of WTO, which was supposed to be conducted in the month of November 2021, was postponed indefinitely. In this ministerial conference, the member countries were supposed to discuss, debate and take decision regarding moratorium on custom duties on e-commerce transactions. Moratorium on custom duties on e-commerce. As per WTO, e-commerce is identified as the production, distribution, marketing, sale or delivery of goods and services such as films, music, video games, software, newspapers, books, etc. by electronic means. In 1998, the WTO members came out with a declaration on global electronic commerce. under which countries have decided not to impose custom duties for or a moratorium on custom duties on e-commerce transactions. This moratorium is renewed by the members at every ministerial conference, which usually happens every 2 years. Present data over moratorium on custom duties on e-commerce. The developed countries are the major exporters of these digital goods and services. Hence, are in favor of making this moratorium on e-commerce transactions permanent. In a way, the developed countries want that no member country should impose custom duty on these e-commerce transactions in future. World Gold Council association consisting of the world's leading gold mining companies. Newly mined gold could be used to finance armed conflicts in the countries. Thus, there is a need to ensure that the gold that is sold in the market does not indirectly finance such conflicts. In this regard, the World Gold Council has developed the conflict free gold standard to help companies to provide assurance that their gold is not contributing to conflict. Digital public infrastructure for agriculture. Digital public infrastructure for agriculture, also known as AgriStack, will be built as an open source, open standard, and interoperable public good. AgriStack will enable including improved access to farm inputs, credit and insurance, help for crop estimation, market intelligence, and support for growth of agri-tech industry and startups. Components of AgriStack: a centrally defined data scheme for registries, directories, master databases, and transactional data with AgriStack. These will help to standardize the vocabulary across agriculture service value chain, and will form the basis of data formats that will enable the interoperability. Interoperability. Unified Farmer Service Interface is the foundational block of AgriStack that enables interoperability of various IT systems and databases in the agriculture ecosystem. Agriculture Accelerator Fund. Agriculture Accelerator Fund. This fund will be established to encourage agri startups by entrepreneurs in rural areas. The fund will aim to bring innovative and affordable solutions for challenges faced by farmers, bring in modern technologies, increase productivity and profitability. Atmanirbhar Horticulture Clean Plant Program. Usually, cotton grown out of G. Barbandis variety is considered to be extra long cotton. Thus, this program will boost availability of disease-free, quality planting material for high-value horticultural crops. The expenditure on this program will 2,200 crore rupees. అన్నీ చదివినట్లే కనిపిస్తున్నాయి కానీ ఏమీ గుర్తులేదు. జరుగుతారో తెలియదు. Negotiable Warehousing Receipts (NWRs). Legal Framework. Warehouse Development and Regulation Act (WDR) Act provides for issuance of negotiable warehouse receipts by warehouses registered under this act. Regulation. WDR Act has also established Warehousing Development and Regulatory Authority. It functions under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Benefits of negotiable warehousing receipts for the farmers: store perishable commodities plus use collateral for short-term borrowing plus scientific storage plus reduce post-harvest losses. Recent progress: the Ministry of Agriculture has enabled integration of negotiable warehousing receipts with the eNom portal. National Animal Disease Control Program NADCP. The program seeks to control and eradicate the foot and mouth disease and brucellosis amongst the livestock in the country. The program aims to vaccinate over 500 million livestock against FMD and some 36 million female bovine calves annually against brucellosis. The NADCP aims to control these two diseases by 2025 and to eradicate them by 2030. It is a program under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. Pokkali rice varieties. Farmers in West Bengal are trying to introduce Pokkali rice variety from Kerala. Unique saline tolerant rice variety that is cultivated in an organic way in the waterlogged coastal regions of Kerala. The rice is cultivated from June to early November when the salinity level of the water in the fields is low. From mid to November to mid to April when the salinity is high, prawns farming takes over. The prawn seedlings which swim in from the sea and the backwaters after the rice harvest feed on the leftovers of the harvested crop. The rice crop which get no other fertilizer or manure, drawn nutrients from the prawns, excrement and other remnants. The uniqueness of the rice has brought it to the geographical indication GI tag. Purple revolution in J&K. Many farmers in J&K have shifted from maize to lavender cultivation due to Mission Aroma. About Mission Aroma, year of launch 2017. Objective: promote cultivation of economically important aromatic crops such as lavender, mint, lemon, grass, rosemary, wild marigold, damask rose, Indian valerian, and lemongrass. Nodal agency CSIR, Central Institute of Medicinal and Aromatic Plants, Lucknow. Nature of intervention: free distribution of aromatic plants to encourage cultivation, oil distillation facilities to extract essential oils from aromatic plants, integration of beekeeping with cultivation of aromatic crops for enhancement of livelihood and additional income for the farmers. Value addition of aromatic crops, providing support in form of awareness, training and capacity building, entrepreneurship development. Purple revolution in J&K. Lavender has become vastly Lavender has become vastly popular among small and marginal farmers of the Jammu division, particularly in Doda district. Many farmers have shifted from maize to lavender cultivation in recent years. Marigold cultivation. Himachal Pradesh has become largest producer of wild marigold oil in the country. 6.49 tons, a step towards self-reliant India. Self-reliant India. Infrastructure. PM Gati approach. It is an approach for growth, accelerating trustworthy infrastructure through synchronized, holistic, integrated, and comprehensive planning based on knowledge, technology, and innovation. Provides comprehensive database Gati digital platform of ongoing and future projects of various ministries, that is, infrastructure ministries and states involved in development of economic zones. Ministries related to social infrastructure have also been integrated into PM Gati Shakti. PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan has been developed as a Digital Master Planning Tool by BISAGN. Bhaskaracharya, National Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics, and has been prepared in Dynamic Geographic Information System GIS platform, wherein data on specific action plan on all the ministries or departments have been incorporated within a comprehensive database. Note: Logistics Division has been transferred to Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Gram Ujala Yojana. Gram Ujala Yojana. Benefits of the household. Each household will get up to 5 LEDs in exchange for working condition old incandescent lamps. In exchange for working condition old incandescent lamps. Okay. Area to be covered. In the first phase, it will be implemented only in 5 villages, only in villages of 5 districts in 5 different states: AP, UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Gujarat. Implementation agency: Convergence Energy Services Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of Energy Efficiency Services Limited, a PSU under Ministry of Power. National Pension System. What is it? Pension cum investment scheme to provide old age security to citizens of India, regulated by Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority (PFRDA), who can join. Any individual citizens of India, both resident and non-resident, in the age group of 18 to 65 years. Different sectors: government sector, private sector. In private sectors, corporates and all citizens of India. Central government. The central government had introduced the National Pension System (NPS) with effect from 1st January 2004. Except for armed forces, all the employees of central autonomous bodies who have joined on or after the above mentioned date are also mandatorily covered. Central government or CAB's employee contributories towards pension from monthly salary, along with matching contribution from the employer. State government. Even state government have adopted this architecture. B. Private sector, non-government sector. 1. Corporates. To all citizens of India, any individual not being covered by any of the above sectors has been allowed to join NPS 2009 onwards. Contribution. Government employees make a monthly contribution at the rate of 10% of their salary, and a matching contribution is paid by the government. For central government employees, the employer's contribution rate has been enhanced to 14% with effective April 1st, 2019. What happens to the contribution? Invested in certain pension funds, which in turn invest in different asset classes such as G6, shares, bonds, etc., to generate higher returns. NPS is designed on defined contribution basis wherein the subscriber contributes to his account. However, there is no defined benefit that would be available at the time of exit from the there is no defined benefit that would be available at the time of exit from the system. The accumulated wealth depends on the contributions made and the income generated from investment of such wealth. Withdrawals. Upon normal superannuation, at least 40% of the accumulated pension wealth of the subscriber must be utilized for purchase of annuity providing for monthly pension of the subscriber, and the balance is paid as lump sum to the subscriber. Upon death, the entire accumulated pension wealth 100% would be paid to the nominee or legal heir of the subscriber, and there would not be any purchase of annuity, monthly or pension. Exit from NPS before the age of normal superannuation. At least 80% of the accumulated pension wealth of the subscriber should be utilized for purchase of annuity providing the monthly pension of the subscriber, and the balance is paid as a lump sum to the subscriber. New pension scheme versus old pension scheme. Recently, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh announced the restoration of the old pension scheme OPS for government employees for the year 22 to 23. The OPS was removed by the government in 2003 and was replaced with National Pension System. Criteria: new pension system, old pension scheme. New pension system, nature of scheme, defined contribution. Old pension scheme, nature of scheme, defined benefit. New pension system, contribution, both government and employee, both by government and employee. Old pension scheme, contribution, only the government. New pension scheme benefit, no defined benefit as the accumulated wealth depends upon the contribution made. Old pension scheme benefit, defined benefit, pension of 50% of the last drawn salary. New pension system, pension amount depends upon number of years of service. Longer the years of service, higher contribution, higher pension. Old pension scheme, pension amount depends on upon the last drawn salary. Pension is equal to 50% of last drawn salary. Concepts related to poverty. A person is said to be poor if he is unable to meet basic needs. World Bank defines extreme poverty as living on less than $1.90 per day. Absolute poverty means a person is said to be absolutely poor if he is unable to meet his basic needs. Relative poverty, a person is said to be relatively poor if his daily expenditure is lower than the average expenditure in the country. Headcount ration, proportion of people living BPL, below poverty line, refers to minimum expenditures to be incurred by a person to meet his basic needs in India. The poverty line is fixed at 27 rupees in rural area and 32 rupees in urban areas. Poverty gap index measures the intensity of poverty in an economy, measures the extent to which individuals on average fall below the poverty line. Poverty line estimation in India. Niti Aayog estimates the proportion of people living below the poverty line. Such as estimation is based upon monthly per capita consumption expenditure of households, MPCE of households, which is carried out by National Statistical Office NSO every 5 years. Data collection method. Uniform recall period URP. During the survey, people are asked as to how much money has been spent on certain goods and services in the previous 30 days. That is, recall period 30 days is uniform for all goods and services. Mixed recall period, how much money has been spent on certain goods and services in the previous 30 days plus how much money has been spent in the last 365 days on certain goods and services which are bought at low frequency: clothing, footwear, durables, education and institutional health expenditure. Tendulkar Expert Group 2009. Firstly, it recommended a shift away from basing the poverty lines from calorie norms towards target nutritional outcomes instead. Secondly, instead of two separate PLBs for rural and urban poverty lines, it recommended a uniform all India urban PLB across rural and urban India. Thirdly, it recommended using mixed reference period based estimates as opposed to uniform reference period based estimates used in earlier methods for estimating poverty. Fourthly, it recommended incorporation of private expenditure on health and education while estimating poverty. The national poverty line for 2011 to 2012 was estimated 816 per capita per month for rural areas and 1000 rupees per capita per month for urban areas. 2011 to 12. Silver economy, system of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services aimed at utilizing purchasing potential for the aging populations as well as satisfying their consumption requirements and living essentials and healthcare needs. Benefits: boost investment and consumption expenditure, create more jobs and pursue higher GDP growth model, make life easier for senior citizens and enable them to productively contribute to economic growth. Example, healthcare sector, higher focus on senior citizens will lead to improved healthcare infrastructure, creation of more jobs as doctors, nurses, pharmacists, etc. Financial sector, development of financial institutions to cater to banking, insurance and pension. For example, dedicated MFIs are to provide small value loans to senior citizens. Hospitality, travel and tourism, development of religious tourism circuits for senior citizens would give fillip to hospitality industry and benefit local economy. IT sector, development of technological tools such as home automation, smart watches, telemedicine, database management, Ayushman Digital Bharat Mission, home delivery of medicines, etc. Millets production in India, global production. India is the world's largest producer of millets. India, Niger and China account for more than 55% of global production. Domestic production, absolute area under nutri cereals, decline in area under cultivation from 28 mega hectares in 2007 to 8 and 25 mega hectares in 2017 to 18. Percentage of area under nutri cereals, decline in percentage of area under nutri cereals from 15% in 2007 to 2008 and 12% in 2019 to 2020. Production of nutri cereals, increase in total production from 40 million tons in 2007 to 8 to almost around 45 million tons in 2017 to 18, mainly on account of increase in productivity. Largest producers, more than 90% of coarse cereals are grown in the states of Rajasthan, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, etc. Major millets, the three major millets crops currently growing in India are jowar, means sorghum, bajra means pearl millet and ragi, finger millet. Initiatives for boosting production of the nutri cereals. National Food Security Mission targets to achieve 13 million tons of additional food grains production comprising of rice 5 mt, wheat 3 mt, pulses 3 mt and nutri-cum coarse cereals 2 mt by 2019 to 2020. 2 mt means million tons, with an additional objective to enhance post-harvest value addition for better price realization to farmers. Special action plan for better production of nutri cereals. Focus on increasing production and productivity of nutri cereals in certain states. Declaration of higher MSP for the millets such as jowar, bajra and ragi. Inclusion of millets in the public distribution system PDS. Declaration of 2023 as International Year of Millets. Trends in rice production. Rice is the world's third most produced crop behind sugarcane and maize. Rice is the world's third most produced crop behind sugarcane and maize. Top global producers: China 28%, India 24% and Indonesia 7%. China and India account for almost 50% of global rice production. Top exporters: in 2019 India was the largest exporter of rice, followed by Thailand and Vietnam. Top importers: Philippines, China, Benin. Domestic production. Area under rice. Rice accounts for largest percentage of area under cultivation. 22%, stagnation in percentage of area in the last decade. Production fluctuating trend in the last decade, that is increased in some years while it decreased in others, but overall there was increase in production, increase from 105 million tons 2010 to 11 to 118 million tons 2019 to 20. Top rice producing states: West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. Aerobic rice grows well under lowland flooded anaerobic conditions. Most high yielding varieties yielding 6 to 8 tons per hectare have been developed to suit such conditions. However, there are large areas where rice is grown under upland aerobic conditions with drought tolerant varieties that yield about 1 ton per hectare or a little more. Aerobic rice varieties are now being developed that have drought tolerance as well as high yielding ability. Aerobic rice system is a new production system in which rice is grown under non-puddled, non-flooded and non-saturated soil conditions. Structural transformation in rural India. Share of rural population. As per the 2011 census, 68.8% of India's population and 72% of workforce resided in rural areas. Share of GDP and workforce. Share of rural areas in GDP has steadily declined from 62% 1970 to 71 to 46% 2011 to 12. Similarly, the share of rural areas in employment has steadily declined from 84% 1970 to 1971 to 70% 2011 to 2012. The decline in share of GDP without a commensurate reduction in the share of employment in the last 4 decades shows that most of the increase in the GDP was contributed by the capital intensive sectors in the urban India. Structural transformation. The rural areas account for 95% of the agricultural output, 50% of the manufacturing output and 25% of the service sector output. As can be seen from the table below, the contribution of rural areas to manufacturing output has doubled from 25% 1970 to 1971 to more than 50% 2011 to 2012. In fact, rural areas account for higher share of manufacturing output in comparison to urban areas. The factors responsible for growth of rural non-farm economy are lower productivity of farms, sluggish growth rate of agriculture, shrinking farm size, increasing cultivation cost, increased wage rates in non-farm sector, etc. Jobless growth. Between 2005 to 2012, the rural India witnessed negative employment growth rate of 2.8%, minus 2.8%. This shows that the non-farm sector was not able to absorb the labor force leaving the agriculture. Most of these people migrated to urban areas due to lack of employment opportunities in the rural areas. Secondary agriculture. According to Dalwai panel, secondary agriculture is defined as cottage industry that A utilizes agricultural products as raw material or provides various inputs to agriculture. B deploys locally available skills to produce goods and services, and C can be categorized appropriately as MSME. Examples of secondary agriculture: FPO promoted food processing industry, procurement, storage and processing of agricultural products. Rural enterprise providing inputs such as seeds, vermicompost, fertilizers, etc. Women-led SHG providing credit to farmers. Enterprise providing agricultural machineries on rental basis. Enterprise providing extension and information. International Monetary Fund. multilateral institution which promotes international financial stability and monetary cooperation and facilitates international trade. Three main roles of IMF: economic surveillance of member countries to achieve macroeconomic stability, lending to member countries which are facing BOP crisis, economic surveillance of member countries to achieve macroeconomic stability, lending to member countries which are facing BOP crisis, capacity development of the member countries, sources of the IMF's funds. Presently, the lending capacity of the IMF is around $1 trillion. The IMF raises money in the following manner: quota, financial contribution made by the member countries; new arrangements to borrow, number of member countries and institutions stand ready to lend additional resources to the IMF; second line of defense to supplement IMF resources; bilateral borrowing agreements; third line of defense, IMF has entered into bilateral borrowing agreements with certain member countries to ensure that it could meet the financing needs of its members. IMF quota, SDR and reforms. Quotas determine the maximum amount of financial resources a member is obliged to provide IMF, determined based on four indicators: size of GDP 50%, openness 30%, economic variability 15%, and international reserves 5%. Quotas are denominated in special drawing rights. Quotas also determine voting power. Borrowing limit. Presently, 14 members are allowed to borrow up to 145% of its quota on annual basis and 435% cumulatively. SDR allocations to member countries. IMF lending tools. Standby arrangements, short term loans for less than 3 years. It is the main lending tool of the IMF. Extend fund facility, long term loans for more than IMF lending tools, emerging and advanced economies. Standby agreements, short term loans for less than 3 years. It is the main lending tool of the IMF. Least developed countries, LDCs, standby credit facility, short term loans for less than 3 years. It is the main lending tool of the IMF. Okay. Extended fund facility, long term loans for more than 3 years and less than 5 years. Least developed countries, extended credit facility, long term loans for more than 3 years and less than 5 years. Same. Emerging and advanced economies, rapid financing instrument to deal with the urgent BOP crisis on account of price rise, disasters, etc. Rapid credit facility to deal with the urgent BOP crisis on account of price rise and disasters, etc. Flexible credit line given in form of loans to prevent BOP crisis, given only to those countries which have strong macroeconomic fundamentals. Catastrophe containment and relief trust, least developed countries, given to LDCs which face catastrophes or disasters, given in form of grant loans, given in form of grants, not loans. Precautionary and liquidity line given in form emerging and advanced economies, given in form of loans to prevent BOP crisis, loans given only to those countries which have strong macroeconomic fundamentals but accompanied by certain vulnerabilities. Policy support instrument, least developed countries, only policy advice, no loans given under this instrument. Structure of IMF: Board of Governors, Ministerial Committee, under Ministerial Committee, IMFC Committee, Development Committee, Executive Board, President. Reports published by IMF: World Economic Outlook, Global Financial Stability Report, Fiscal Monitor Report. NIRVIC scheme, Export Credit Insurance Scheme implemented by Export Credit Guarantee Corporation, extends insurance cover to the banks which give loans to the exporter, provides insurance cover up to 90% of the principal and interest. Thus, it enhances banks' ability to extend more loans to the exporters to meet their capital requirements. Balance of payment, record of economic transactions between residents and non-residents for a period of 1 year. Balance of payment comprises of current account and capital account. Current account and capital account. Scissors effect. In its latest report on state finances, RBI has highlighted that the state finances are affected by scissors effect. Scissors effect take place when revenue and expenditure move in different directions. RBI has highlighted that state finance portray scissors effect because of COVID-19 pandemic. On one hand, tax revenues of state governments have declined, while on the other hand, expenditure has increased. Scissors effect. Scissors effect takes place when revenue and expenditure move in different directions. RBI has highlighted that the state finance portray scissors effect because of COVID-19 pandemic. One hand, tax revenues of state government have declined, while on their other hand, expenditure has increased. Fiscal Council, an independent agency to review the government's adherence to fiscal rules. It was recommended by a number of committees, including N.K. Singh Committee 2017, D.K. Srivastava Committee on Fiscal Statistics 2018, 13th and 14th Commissions. Proposed functions: independent assessments of budget proposals, independent forecast of key micro variables like real and nominal GDP growth, tax buoyancy, commodity price inflation, etc. Advisory role with respect to FRBM targets. Review the government's forecasts related to tax collections, fiscal deficit, GDP growth. Base erosion and profit shifting. Tax avoidance strategies adopted by MNCs that exploit gaps and mismatches in tax rules to artificially shift profits to low or non-tax locations where there is little or no economic activity. Strategies used: transfer mispricing, misuse of double taxation avoidance agreements, treaty shopping, round tripping, inflated invoices, shell companies, patented box, double Irish adopted by tech companies, etc. National Anti-Profiteering Authority (NAA) transferred to Competition Commission of India. National Anti-Profiteering Authority has been constituted by Union Cabinet in accordance with Section 171 of GST, Section 171 of CGST Act to deal with profiteering, headed by an officer of the rank of Secretary to the Government of India, 4 technical members from the centre and the states. Need for NAA: ensures that any reduction in rate of tax or the benefit of input tax credit should be passed on to the consumer by way of commensurate reduction in prices. Check profiteering. Working mechanism: investigate cases of profiteering, order firms to reduce the prices or return the undue benefit to the customers. If customer not found, money deposited under customer welfare fund. In extreme case, the NAA can impose a penalty on the defaulting business entity and even order the cancellation of its registration under GST. Tenure: initially constituted for 2 years. However, its tenure has been extended until November 30, 2022. After the end of the mandate of National Anti-Profiteering Authority, the mandate of this body has been transferred to Competition Commission of India. Note: no appellate authority against the order of NAA. Thus, only remedy for a person dissatisfied with the NAA order is to approach the High Court through writ petition. Vulture funds. Vulture funds are the hedge funds that typically buy bonds issued financially distressed funds and countries in the secondary market at a discounted prices and later recover much higher amount than the price at which they have bought the bonds. Uday bonds. Idea is to reduce the debit burden of the discoms, wherein the states would take over some percentage of their debit obligations of the discoms. In return, the discoms are required to implement structural reforms to improve their financial viability. States should take over 75% of the discom debit. The governments will then issue Uday bonds to banks and other financial institutions to raise money to pay off the banks. Sovereign gold bonds. Government securities denominated in grams of gold. Investors pay the issue price in cash and the bonds will be redeemed in cash on maturity. Introduced to reduce gold imports. Imports can be used as collateral for loans. Sovereign green bonds. Reserve Bank of India recently auctioned its Maiden sovereign green bonds with worth 8,000 crore rupees under its sovereign green bond framework. About sovereign green bonds. Green bonds, popularly known as climate bonds, are fixed interest bearing financial instruments issued by any sovereign entity or intergovernmental organization or corporation. The process of these bonds are used only for environmentally conscious, climate resilient projects. Investors in bonds issued under this framework do not bear any project related risks. There is no cap on foreign investment in these bonds because these instruments are considered as specified securities under the fully accessible route. In India, SEBI regulates the issuance of private green bond issuance. Green debit securities have been defined by SEBI as a debit security issued for raising funds that are to be utilized for projects and assets falling under following categories: renewable and sustainable energy, including wind, solar, bioenergy, other sources of energy which use clean technology; clean transportation, including mass or public transportation; sustainable water management, including clean and drinking water, uh, recycling; climate change adaptation; energy efficiency, including efficient and green buildings; sustainable waste management, including recycling waste to energy efficient disposal of wastage; sustainable land use, including sustainable forestry and agricultural afforestation; biodiversity conservation, a category as may be specified by the board from time to time. Sovereign gold bond framework is not regulated by SEBI. Benefits of sovereign green bonds. Growing popularity of green bonds allows sovereign to issue SGBs have longer maturity due to longer horizon of green projects at lower growing cost. Vice versa, vanilla sovereign bond greenium or green premium refers to pricing benefits based on the logic that investors are willing to pay extra or accept lower yields in exchange for sustainable impact. Pricing of SGB sovereign gold bonds is not reliant on underlying return on investment of projects but rather sovereign risk or rating. Since proceeds from issuing SGBs are channeled towards green projects, commitment to finance green projects could send signals and improve the reputation of sovereign lending to better prices for sovereigns green bonds. By issuing SGBs, the sovereign can reduce the cost of capital for green projects by attracting new investors who are interested in green investments. Opportunity to demonstrate moral leadership on climate change. Challenges to sovereign green bonds. Narrow investor base for green bonds and particularly sovereign green bonds in the emerging and developing countries. Absence of an international set of guidelines as to what constitutes green bonds. Risk of fund management. Sovereign Green Bond Framework. The Green Bond Framework sets forth obligations of Government of India as a green bond issue. The framework applies to all sovereign green bonds issued by the Government of India. Okay. Payments of principal and interest on the issuances under this framework are not conditional on the performance of eligible projects. Investors in bonds issued under this framework do not bear any project related risks. There is no cap on foreign investment in these bonds because these instruments are considered as specified securities under the fully accessible route. The framework is designed to comply with ICMA green bond principles. Core components of framework: green project category, renewable energy, environmental objective, mitigation net zero objectives, eligibility criteria, investments in solar or wind or biomass or hydropower projects that integrate energy generation and storage, incentivization adaptation of renewable energy. Green bonds, popularly known as climate bonds, are fixed interest bearing financial instruments issued by any sovereign entity or intergovernmental organization or corporation. The proceeds of these bonds are used for only for environmentally conscious climate resilience projects. Money market instruments, financial market that fills the demand supply gap in short term funds with maturity period of less than 1 year. Commercial paper, unsecured debt instrument that enables corporates to raise short term borrowings for a period less than 1 year. Certificate of deposit, issued by banks and financial institutions to raise short term capital like fixed deposit but of shorter maturity period. Further, the minimum value of certificate of deposit is 1 lakh rupees. Call or notice money, instruments used for interbank borrowing and lending. Under call money market, funds are transacted on an overnight basis, and under notice money market, funds are transacted for a period of between 2 days and 14 days. Treasury bills, instruments that government used to raise short term money from the financial market for long term government bonds. Maturity period 91 days to 91 days, 182 days, 364 days. T-bills are zero coupon securities, that is no interest. Instead, they are issued at a discount rate and redeemed at the face value on maturity. T-bills are issued only by